Towering over the land, sinister and oppressive, the arrival of the Spire changed everything. Maybe it was always here. I don't know. It's beyond me, beyond us all. What I know, what we all know, is what it makes us do, what it demands of us. What used to be our world is no longer ours. Lives are no longer ours. Minds are no longer ours. Daily, the Spire requires sacrifices. A few at first, but as it grows, so too does its hunger. When first it appeared, like a distant hallucination, we could just make out a shimmering black ominous shape. If you stared for too long, you'd almost lose focus on it. Many thought it was merely a conspiracy or propaganda. Others simply ignored it, but most just went on with their lives. It wasn't until about a month later that the Spire had gained enough power to start influencing our consciousness on a global scale. A subtle beginning, strange and dark dreams, cravings, urges. People started doing things and not knowing why. Acts of unspeakable violence or apparent madness. The Spire was just testing its control, acclimating to our psyche, weaving its way into our minds. Without many of us even being aware, the Spire became the focus, the obsession of modern civilization. Its form began appearing in artwork, television, movies, writing, social media. It was the unconscious fixation of humanity. As it grows in power and influence, so too does its size. No matter where you are, it's there in the distance, watching, controlling. The Spire isn't a place you can go to, walk, drive, or fly, as long as you want, and it will always be the same distance away. That is, until it requires you. We see the chosen, glazed over eyes, open-mouthed, dead stare heading towards the Spire. When it calls, you answer. There isn't a choice, there isn't an argument. Unwilling, the human sacrifices shamble forward, growing in number and devoid of self-control. How long they walk depends on the Spire's assessment of their will. I've seen poor souls whose feet were shredded to the bone from walking, clothing tattered and skin tight on bone from malnutrition. Although vacant in expression and protest, the amount of suffering these people experience is tremendous. After, and only after, they have been broken down past the limits of the human body, will the Spire accept their sacrifice. Within the threshold, our fate is sealed. The air shimmers like heat above hot pavement. Sounds are muffled and intensified at the same time. Devoid of vegetation and life, except for the poor souls unlucky enough to be chosen. The ground is some alien obsidian stone that throbs beneath our ruined, bloody feet. Its metaphysical tendrils prod into us hungrily, boring into our minds, making us live countless lives and tortures in a matter of seconds. The gray sky is offset by red flashes that illuminate the malevolent structure. It seems to pulse with the flashes, breathe almost. I'm getting closer. This isn't Earth. We're somewhere else. Somewhere infinitely worse. Closer still. Writhing in on itself, changing shape constantly. I see now. The Spire is alive. So immeasurably worse than I could have ever imagined. I'm here. Waiting at its base, surrounded by my tortured kin. It wants us to watch. We wait for our turn, no choice. I scream in my head, pray, beg. It likes that. I feel it mocking me. Next, the helpless man shambles forward, left shin broken and bone protruding from skin. Silent in words and expression, but I share his pain, and it is great. A stairway forms at the bottom of the spire. Against his will, the man begins to climb. Like fluid, the walls of the spire distort, human faces and hands pressed against it, their forms outlined in a clear display of agony. The structure's hard, impenetrable surface appears like rubber. It wants us to see them. Around and around, the man goes, climbing to the top, leading a line of unlucky souls. As he reaches the top, the trembling spire opens to accept his sacrifice. Metallic and black, a claw-like appendage emerges from within and grabs the man by his head, hauling his limp body inside itself. Within the bowels of the spire, the wall illuminates from the inside, and the man's form is projected against it. 4 tubes attach themselves to each of the man's limbs. Spinning rapidly, they work from top to bottom. As the tubes release from his limbs, the man's skin has been completely peeled away. One of the tubes goes to work on his head, while the remaining 3 strip the flesh from his torso. Musculature fully exposed, 2 separate arms begin separating the tissue from his skeletal frame. Being completely disassembled alive was nowhere near the worst of what it's doing to us. Glowing red, a spear-like appendage pierced the man's chest and began pulling through what was left of his stripped frame. Taking the last of his life as it tore through and away from his body, something came with it. Something human-shaped, glowing white and struggling. Discarding the ruined carcass into the fires below, the arm shoved what it had pulled from the man into the wall of the spire. What was the essence of the man joined the ranks of writhing, moaning human forms pushing against the walls of the spire. And this is it. The end. The beginning. Eternity. It moves me through the line. Closer and closer I get. Helplessly I watch as my fellow man is dismembered, physically and spiritually. Collector of souls, reaper of humanity. There is no hope, no fighting back. My turn. I stand atop the spire, forced to look into its bowels, into hell. The arm comes out to collect me. The claw latches onto my head. 2 small drills bore into my skull, intertwining with my consciousness. It knows me, and I know it. It warned us. We had a chance. I did not listen. I did not serve. Now we suffer the consequences forever. It shares with me the burden of knowledge, the curse of eternity. With my last word, I utter its name. Basilisk.
That dude is so totally fucked. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, a nice little short story I wrote for you. I got some longer stories, some bigger projects coming, some shit you're really gonna like. So stick the fuck around, because whether you like it or not, well, you should like it. But either way, I got stuff coming, so make sure to listen to my stuff that I'm doing, because I'm doing it for you. It's all for you. All of this is for you. Alright, so make sure you like, subscribe, maybe you can share it. I guess that's a thing now. So if you want to, go ahead and share it, or do whatever the fuck you want.